We knew the world will not be the same. A few people laughed, a few people cried. Most people were silent. I remember the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him, takes out his multi-armed form and says, "Now I've become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another. What's up, fams? Welcome to a late and very long overdue video. Basically, it's a 3-month overdue video of one of my favorite movies of all time, Godzilla. The original 1954 Japanese version. So last year on November marked the 65th anniversary. So I'm considering this a 65th anniversary video of one of my favorite movies of all time. So yeah, guys, join me today as we do this wholesome review and probably slightly retrospective review and 65th anniversary of Godzilla, the original 1954 Japanese version. Today on Hobbywood Productions. All right, quiet on set. Scene 1, take 1. Action. Godzilla is the... Oh my god, Prince. Seriously, come on. Godzilla 1954 is directed by Ishiro Honda, produced by Tomoyuki Tanaka, and stars Akira Takarada, Momoko Kochi, Akihiko Hirata, and well-known Japanese actor at the time, Takashi Shimura. The film came out on November 3rd, 1954. The budget was 100 million yen. So basically that is like what? 200, we'll see. So the budget was basically $521,117 US. So that's like what? $562,711. Wow. I legit had to estimate that shit. So Godzilla is a movie about post-war Japan, 9 years after the war, World War II to be exact, are slowly but progressively trying to defeat this creature that's been destroying basically a lot of ships like the Bingo Maru and the other has been struggling by having a lot of his fishing boats being destroyed by an unknown force of nature. 2 ships have been destroyed unexpectedly until they find out that it is a creature by Odo Island legend named as Godzilla. So Godzilla rises up from the ocean and basically is on his path on destruction to Tokyo, Japan. While the military and the government really wants to kill Godzilla, a scientist named Dr. Yamane wants to actually study him instead and wants to know why he's around. But basically, a lot of the Japanese government basically sees this force of nature, Godzilla, or Gojira, as, well, a metaphor or basically a ghost of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, to put it in a more serious and lightly tone. So it's up to Japan to destroy or to see to find out if they can destroy Godzilla or Gojira. Again, I keep saying Godzilla, but let's just call him Godzilla then. Basically finding a way to destroy Godzilla before he attacks downtown Tokyo, which honestly, if you know what a Godzilla movie is, he basically ends up destroying Tokyo at the end. Now, Godzilla has a nice, interesting history behind it. Basically, it all sparked when Tomoyuki Tanaka was flying home from Japan and looks out the window, looks out in the ocean and says, or just thinks, saying, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea to create a monster that is basically a metaphor of the atomic bomb and it just comes and destroys Tokyo? And basically, it takes inspiration from the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it also takes inspiration, basically the spark of the film and the inspiration of it came from a fishing boat named Lucky Dragon number 9. Basically, sort of intercepted or far, even though they were far away, they were still hit by the Bikini Atoll testings, the atomic bomb testings in 1954. And although they got hit by the ash of the atomic bomb, they still made it home severely injured from nuclear poisoning, and many of the crew died, if not all of them died. So basically the film does open up with Godzilla basically destroying fishing boats in the same way, or pretty much in a more metaphorical and allegory-ish way, if that's even a word. Just the same as the Lucky Dragon number 9 was destroyed or exposed to radiation. So Shigeru Kamaya, Tomoyuki Ishiro Honda, and Takeo Murata all came up with a script and a story to create something that is basically something that will pretty much kind of come off controversial at first, but then again, they know they must spread awareness of anti-nuclear war and basically the hauntings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So there have been many storyboards. I wish I can sort of show you, but it'll be tough to find sort of a bit. But, you know, if I can find one, I'll try to put them on the video. So basically, many storyboards and designs of Godzilla. Basically, the head of his, the shape of his head is like a mushroom cloud resembling the atomic bombs. And then basically went through 3 designs, one resembling like fish scales. The other one was basically like wart frog bumps. But they both denied it. But the third design was basically the design they went with, but basically a more realistic animalistic style. But it looks like it has burns from the atomic bomb, the radiation, and all that stuff. Because Dr. Yamane came with the conclusion after when they first encountered Godzilla, basically he already basically finds out that this creature was basically laid dormant or whatever, and basically was awakened by the atomic bomb because of the radiation it got. The radiation levels it got, mind you. So they basically made like a couple of suits for it. So as far as I can tell, the first suit went horrible. I mean, it basically weighed like 220 pounds, which is basically 100 kilograms. But so they went with another suit, which slimmed down, and basically stuntman Haro Nakajima basically he basically plays Godzilla for most of the movie. And even though it was a bit, slimmed down and is a bit more like stunt friendly or suit actor friendly, due to the lighting and stuff like that during on stage, Haro Nakajima-san basically still fainted a couple of times. But the first original suit was still used by close-up shots. Like basically they cut it in half, and a lot of close-ups was used for the top half, and basically the bottom half was used for close-ups too. That is basically really, really cool. Akira Ifukube, basically, he did the score for the film, and it's one of my favorite scores of all time, and the theme song's amazing. But what really fascinated me was his search for Godzilla's roar. It was up to him to basically create the roar for the creature. So he went through lions and bears and all that stuff, but none of them really suited the roar. And I agree. So he made a decision where I really fully agree with 100% on his decision. And his decision was to use something not from this world, something unnatural, because Godzilla is something not from this world, because, well, he's a metaphor of the atomic bomb, and he's a walking nuclear bomb, just the way he destroys things. So basically, since aside from not getting a good roar from animals, he basically took a big, I don't know, maybe a cello or a bass or a violin. Basically, he takes like this string bass instrument, takes leather gloves, and he just rubs it against the strings and the instrument, and basically takes it to post-production, and then they remix it around and basically creates the famous roar that we all know and love. And also the stomping was used when he like accidentally knocked over an amplifier or a speaker while he was moving stuff around in the sound studio, which is phenomenal. Akira Ifukube, I applaud you for that. The special effects, going back to the special effects, they wanted to use stop motion like King Kong and The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms, which is the main inspiration for this film. And you can see that. But since they didn't have the budget, they didn't really have the time, they had a basically a deadline to meet. They instead used Suitmation, and it is just amazing. So basically, that's just basically like typical like history on Godzilla. Just basically any fan knows. If you're a fan of Godzilla, you already know this stuff. I'm just basically telling this for basically the people who don't know like much about this movie or any history about him. Now, I've been a Godzilla fan since I was 5 years old, since I saw the trailer for Godzilla 2000. And I always rented the videotapes on VHS. I watched all the other movies, but I've never seen the original one, especially the Japanese version. It's not until my high school days, when I was a freshman in high school, well, I was a loner and stuff like that, I went over to FYE and I bought the original, like the classic media DVD. I still have it to this day. The classic media DVD, and when I popped in the movie, I was expecting a badass film, but what I got was something different, but I love it. And basically, that was and after I shut the film off, like after I was done watching the film, I left, it made me feel depressed, but not in a bad way, more like, wow, I got hit by something that is very sensitive, very, very real. And now let's get on to my review of it. Basically, I'll just keep it short and simple with spoilers not coming out much. Basically, the reason why I love this film is because this is basically the most realistic monster film I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the 2014 one does it well, but this one did it first. And it accomplished everything that you would like want something new out of a monster film. Because I've been used to all these B horror movies, B like monster movies, B sci-fi films. And this film, to this day, I'm never going to see this as a B sci-fi or horror film or a B film in general. Because I feel like this is more of an A film. Because the way it was done with one of the most grounded approaches. And it's very realistic. Basically, if a creature like Godzilla ever came to life, if that ever happened to us, I feel like this is the most realistic way to approach that. Like, for example, when they first came to the conclusion about Godzilla's existence, basically there was a political board meeting room, and there was a lot of debate. Either they should reveal this to the public, to the world, or just keep it just to themselves. But honestly, that's not something that they should keep to themselves, obviously, due to the climax of the film. And a lot of that argument, that's debate scene. If you ever see the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. Basically, this is a debate scene where they should either show this to the world or keep it to themselves. And they brought a good argument that, yeah, we should show this to the world to spread awareness, to stop him or just understand him. Godzilla, of course. And yeah, all I could say is the movie is just real. This film felt real. And also the way Ishiro Honda shot this film, the way he basically Gareth Edwards sort of borrowed a bit of inspiration from him in Godzilla 2014, where basically don't put a camera where it doesn't belong. Basically put a camera through a human's perspective, and that's what Ishiro Honda did. The way he shot Godzilla was so realistic, all his wide shots. Even though it was a man in a suit and miniatures, the way he shot it made him look big and realistic, and it looked so good. And due to it being black and white, it's even better because it just gives it a gritty tone to it. And it's very depressing to watch, but honestly, it's not an uncomfortable way to watch. I can't really say it's uncomfortable, but it's really it immerses you, it engages you, it keeps you into the film. You're so hooked on the film. And the way the film ends, I'm not going to give away how it ends, but it's very real. I find it realistic too, because it doesn't end on a, hey, ooh, like every monster movie back in the day where everybody cheers because the monster's dead. No, there is a mourning at the end, and it doesn't end on a happy note. And I love that. Basically, the message of the film is we should not do any nuclear weapons, or just not have nuclear weapons at all, or just get rid of nuclear weapons in general. But not just that, I also see it as an allegory or a metaphor for forces of nature, how we always want to control nature, but we really don't have the power to do that. And once we interfere with nature, it'll come bite us back to bite us in the ass. And I love how Godzilla is also being portrayed. Also, one last realistic, another reason why I think I love how this film is real, because they don't treat Godzilla as a monster much. They treat him as an animal, basically, an animal, and an animal that they need to understand instead of destroy. Well, that's what Dr. Yamane wants. So yeah.
Yeah.
And and also one last reason that I love this film is because I love how the humans are basically realistically being portrayed. I love all the characters, especially Dr. Serizawa, played by Akihito Hirata. I think I mispronounced his name right there, but I mean, damn. Oh, it's Akihito Hirata. There you go. He's basically my favorite character because he's the most tragic, because in the movie, he creates a weapon that could destroy Godzilla. But again, he hasn't revealed to the world because he doesn't want it to fall in the hands of any like terrible human beings. And that is another like reason is that basically there's a lot of consequences. Basically, on the choices you make will always have consequences, good or bad. That's also another message that I love about this film. And another message too is that if we keep doing bad things, worse things are gonna happen. Like karma's gonna get you good. So when the film came out, it was met with negative reviews by critics because they thought that they were exploiting the Lucky Dragon #9. But no, it was just a message just about anti-nuclear message to stop nuclear weapons, to get rid of nuclear weapons, and to, have no more nuclear weapons in the world. Yeah, and combined with cinematography and the music and the lighting and just the acting and just the way everything's being portrayed. And basically Tomoyuki Tanaka's, production, and also Eiji Tsuburaya, he basically did the special effects. I forgot to mention him, but yeah, his special effects are phenomenal. I mean, that guy continued on until Destroying All Monsters, which was the 9th installment of the franchise. And Ishiro Honda's direction basically makes this an instant classic, for me at least, or basically a lot of people. So yeah, this film not only gets my recommendation, of course, but it also gets a perfect 5 out of 5 stars. I highly, highly recommend you guys go see it. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. It's an amazing film. I do recommend either the Criterion Edition Blu-ray that I have back here, or the same Criterion Edition Blu-ray that's on the Showa Collection set. But I mostly recommend the collection version because the subtitles, I think they also upgraded the subtitles to make it more accurate, or maybe not. And I think the font is a bit more visible, so you'll have better read of the film. So yeah, that's it for you guys. Basically, to close this video out is basically, I know this is late, but this is belated. Happy 65th anniversary, Godzilla. Happy 65th birthday, Godzilla. And long live the king. This is Javi from Hollywood Productions signing off, and I hope you guys enjoy the show.